Hi everybody, and welcome to this session on remote and hybrid learning tools. In this session, we're going to talk about a few tools that will work well whether you are in a completely remote teaching environment or if you're teaching hybrid. And frankly, several of these will work even if you're in the classroom as long as students have devices. So what you're seeing in the background right now is the tool I'm going to start with called Nearpod. I'm going to give you an overview of each of the tools, and then I have a couple of devices that I'm going to connect to the tools just to show you what it'll look like as answers and content start coming in. So let's get started, and we're going to begin with a tool called Nearpod. Okay, now as I mentioned, we're going to start with Nearpod. Now Nearpod's been around a long time, but they've, I'd say, somewhat recently made a lot of enhancements to it, and I think it is a really solid, one of my favorite remote learning tools because there is such a wide variety of things you can do with it and because it is free to use. I'll give you a little bit of details about what the free entails, but I want to just encourage you to take a look at it because even the free will give you plenty of opportunities to engage your students and really get across not only content but interactivity for those students. So where we are right now is on My Library, and yours will be blank to begin with, of course, if you've never done anything inside this tool before. But what I want you to take a look at is there's a Create button here, and I'm going to start here and then I'll actually walk you through a demo of Nearpod. So if we come to Create here, you can see that we have several options. We're going to go ahead and start with Lesson. Now when you open Lesson, I'm opening this because I want to show you all the variety of things you can do with Nearpod. One of the great benefits of Nearpod is that it does a wonderful job of including both content and interactivity. Some of the tools are a little more focused on kind of just audience response, that formative feedback on how they're doing right now. But this one's really great about delivering content-based materials as well. So if you click right here where there's the plus, we've got an option here for content and activities. And I just want you to take a look at some of those options for content. You can see you can bring in slides, which is just what it sounds like, content slides, videos, you can bring in web content, you can bring in a PDF, simulations, which is pretty cool, 3D images, and so on. Now, if we go over to activities, you'll see some of the things that we can add into the activities area. And these can be interspersed. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do a couple of content slides and then an activity and so on. Time to Climb is kind of a competitive game where students will race each other for time to get the questions completed correctly. You can see we've got matching pairs and quizzes. You can bring in a flip grid to it. Drawing, which is one of my favorite activities. Collaborate board. This is probably my top two favorites, where they post kind of an online bulletin board where they post their own thoughts. Polling, fill in the blank questions, and so on. So these are the kinds of things that you can put into a Nearpod presentation. I'm going to switch over and actually launch a presentation so that you can see how some of these work. Let me do that now. Okay, I am going to launch this, but I want you to see that there are a couple different options when you choose to launch a Nearpod. One is live presentation, which is what I'm going to do now, but the other is student paced. So when I said this would work in either a remote session or a traditional setting, student paced can almost be set up as homework where students can work on this on their own pace and still work through all those activities. You're just not doing it in a synchronous setting like I'm going to do right now. But either way works, and my kids have done plenty of these Nearpods and they've done it both ways. So both will work beautifully. So I'm going to choose live presentation for this one. Now when I do that, it's going to give me a way to allow students to engage. So this is a code that they're going to go to join.nearpod.com and put in that code. I can also share this via a link, email, Google Classroom, Remind, and Teams. So I'm going to go ahead and join as a student so you can kind of see how that's going to work. Okay, now I am joined as a student, and a couple things to note there. One, when I joined, it asked me for my name and any nickname I wanted to use. It's important to note that if you did not want students to use their real names, if you wanted them to use a student ID or even like a locker number or cubby number, something like that, you can do that if you wanted to keep it more anonymous. But it's also important to note on the instructor side, you can hide student names if you are projecting this up on a screen for students, but you wouldn't need to because they see this exact presentation on their own device. So just wanted to make sure you understood that. Okay, now on the student side, I see exactly what I'm seeing on the instructor side in terms of seeing that slide right in front of me. I obviously don't see all the controls at the bottom that the instructor sees. The other thing I want you to note is down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that I've got one student inside of my room for this presentation. If I click on this, you're going to be able to see who that student is. And you see that green dot right there. If I leave this room or navigate away from this, that will turn red, as will this area turn red, so I can see that a student has opted out of this and they're not engaged. So it's a really great visual way for students, or rather teachers, to see who might not be engaged with this and get them back on track again. Okay, so I'm going to move on. My slides here are to the right and to the left. I'm going to go ahead over to the right. Okay, so this is the Collaborate board, and you can see it's asking me, do I want to approve the student comments before they're posted? So if you're in an environment where you're not sure what's going to be posted and you want to make sure you take a look at that before they do, you can say yes to this. This is a demo, and I don't feel like I need to approve each of these, so I'm going to say no, and I'm actually going to apply that for the rest of the session. So if there happens to be another Collaborate board, there isn't in this, but if there was, I can make this setting that for the entire session. So I'm going to say no here. Okay, so you can see that this is what the Collaborate board looks like, and you can see that it sort of looks like a cork board. There are several different looks to this, but this is one of them. The question I asked here was, name a positive. What is one way you've grown from the COVID challenges? This is going to look exactly the same way the students look. You can share thoughts or images here. So I'm going to go ahead and add one in as the teacher, and then I'll add one in as a student as well. So I'm going to say more time with family. And maybe I want to add an image into here. So I'm going to click this button here. I'm going to Google search here, family maybe. And maybe I'm going to just add this one and say save, and then I'm going to post it, and it's going to pop right up on my board here. And notice that as things start to be added, other users of this can like it, just like on so many social media platforms. So I'm going to pause for a second here and go ahead and add one in on the student side. Okay, so you can see that this one's tagged as teacher and this one is tagged as student, and there is another post up there. As the instructor, I can delete any of these out if I choose to. I didn't for this particular, I don't need to for this, obviously, but I can, and the student doesn't see that option. Okay, this is the Collaborate board. I really like how this one looks, and it really allows for a lot of good collaboration and discussion. And again, you can do this live or you can do this asynchronously. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. Okay, this is the drawing that you can do. This works great for all sorts of things. You could have students work on math problems. You could use it in ELA if you said, draw the character that you most identified with in the book that we were reading. Things like that. So on the student side, let me just show you what the student side looks like. This is the student side, and you can see they've got some drawing tools down here. You can see they can add text, they can draw with a couple of different tools, they can add in images if they want, they can delete things if they want, and then of course they can submit it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and just submit something so that you can see. Okay, so you can see I submitted something as a student. I can click on it and see the drawing more up close. This was my really not great attempt at drawing a laptop. One of the neat things you can do with Nearpod is, depending on the activity, you can share this back out to students so they can see a drawing. When you share it out, they do not see who submitted it, but it might be a talking point. So you might share this out, and this will actually pop up on all the student screens, and you can say, hey, this is work from home. How many people agree that this really does identify with what teaching was like during COVID? And what did we think about that? So it might be a good discussion starter. So I'm going to go ahead and not share that at this minute and go ahead and close. So the drawing option I really like because it lends itself to so many different things. One other note on this, you can either have them draw on a blank canvas or you can actually upload a picture. So let's say that you want to ask a question about the map of the United States. You can upload that and say, star the state that is known as the Buckeye State, and then they would draw a star on it. So it works either way. Let me go on to the next slide. Okay, so this one, I'll bring over what it looks like on the student side. This is a poll, and so this asks students, which of the following tools do you use in your own class? So I'm going to pull this over and show you. This is what it looks like on the student side, and they can pull and choose as many of these options as they want. Say I also use this, and then I can choose submit, and it says that the answers were submitted. Now, on the instructor side, I can see the student, and I can see what all they chose. It actually starts to give me a breakdown of what percentage were chosen. I can share these results back out to students if I choose to. So this is also a great way to generate discussions in a class because you can share those results back out. Let me go on to the next slide now. Okay, this is a quiz, and this one has an actual correct answer, whereas the last one we did was just an opinion. So this is what it looks like on the student side. So it's asking, what was the first toy to be advertised on television? So is it, which of these four were the case? So I don't know if you know the answer to this, but let's say I'm guessing, and I'm guessing yo-yo, and I choose to submit that answer. So it says, okay, your answer was submitted. Now on the teacher side, it's showing me that here is my student, and they answered C, and I can see that that's incorrect. So I can actually share these results back out. Again, students will see this percentage, but they will not see what everybody in the class chose, just a percentage. So they'll see, I'll show you what they'll see. I'm going to share this out, and on the student side, this is what they see. They see their answer, what they chose, what percentage the class did as a whole, and the correct answer is in green. The answer was Mr. Potato Head. So it's a great way to kind of compare themselves against how are they doing across the class, but without any names or any identifiers there. Okay, now there's a lot more you can do with Nearpod, but I want to kind of wrap this up and go on to the next tool. But I really recommend taking a look at Nearpod and seeing what it'll do for you. Oh, there is one other thing I want to show you. If I choose this option up here at the top, I can end the session, and I want to show you what the reports really briefly look like because I want to show you that you can go back and look at the results of your sessions later. So I'm going to go ahead and end the session and pull up a report. Okay, I did end the session. It took me back to the main page, and over here on the left, there's an area that says reports. So let me go ahead and click on that. And it's going to take us to an area where we can see all of our reports. So this was the one that we just did. So let me go ahead and click on it. You can see I've got a couple of different reports, different sessions that I did. I can take a look at that report, and it'll break down for me basically how the class did and how the individual students did as well. I can download this in multiple different formats, and I can take a look at this for tracking student progress and how we're doing as a whole and as individuals. So I want to make sure you know because that's a really powerful part of this. All right, before I wrap this up, I just want to show you that this is the pricing plans at this time for Nearpod. So in the free version, you have 100 megabytes of storage, and you have up to 40 students that can join per lesson. And then there's a few other differences here, but I'm on the free plan and able to do just plenty with it. So I would really encourage you to take a look at this and see if this is something that might work well for your class, whether you are remote, hybrid, or in person. Let me go on to a second tool. All right, the next one I'm going to show you is called Mentimeter. And this one is a fun one for collecting polling information from students and kind of engaging them just for quick little questions you might want to kick off the class with or gather their feedback or their knowledge of content with. So this one, again, is called Mentimeter. You have 2 questions per presentation and up to 5 quizzes. So if I come over here to type, you'll be able to see here's the question types I was talking about, and here's the quizzes I was talking about. You can also add in content slides, much like Nearpod. Now, the free version isn't quite as robust as what you'll see with Nearpod. You can certainly do more with Nearpod, but this one does a couple of really fun things that I'm going to show you in a demonstration in just a second. Over here are the slides that I built in Mentimeter, and again, I did that using these options over here. So in the free version, you get 2 questions and up to 5 quizzes, and then content slides as well. You can have different kinds of questions sprinkled throughout, and you'll see that. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this, and when I do present it, it's going to show me, let me pull this up a little more easily for you. Okay, you can see I'm in presentation mode here, and at the top it's telling me that students will go to Menti.com and use this code to get in, or you can copy this link. So I'm going to go ahead and add myself as a student so you can see some of the things that they are seeing on the other side. Okay, I am in as a student, and it looks pretty much the same as what we're seeing here. Two things that students can do on this main page, because I allowed them to, is if you look in this lower right-hand corner, you'll see a comment area and a thumbs up. Students can, and again, I can turn this off or on. They can give me a thumbs up if, okay, I might say, everybody give me a thumbs up when you're on this main page. So if you watch on my screen in the lower right-hand corner, on the student side, I'm going to click the thumbs up, and you're going to see it pop up. You see how it popped up down there? I can also send in a comment. So I might say, ready to start. I'm going to type this in on the student side, and I'm going to send it. And you'll see it pop up on my side over here. Yep, there it is. So again, I can turn that on or off, and I chose to turn it on just so you could see it. All right, on the instructor side, you can see down here I've got a few options. I can move us forward on the next slide. I can start a countdown. I can hide the results or show them. And I've got a few more options if I need to kind of clear the results or things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next slide. I am seeing the same question on the student side with a box to type in a word. So you can see, what one word would you use to describe remote learning? So I'm going to go ahead and type in, and this will allow them to submit multiple answers as well. So I'm going to enter a few words in here, and I'm going to show you what it's going to do on the instructor side. So let me pause and come right back. Okay, so what you can see is it's building with what's called a word cloud, and it's building this as the students type in the answers. I'm going to type in another one. I'm going to type exciting again, and I want to show you that it gets bigger. That's how word clouds work. The more frequent that an answer is put in, the more it's going to build. So you can see that the biggest word so far has been exciting and fun and scary and necessary and frustrating. We're all in there. This is a great way to kick off maybe a topic or ask them how they're feeling about things. This is completely anonymous. I don't know who typed in these things, but we can see what the class is saying as a whole. So I like the word cloud aspect of it because I think it's just a kind of a different way to gather their information. I'm going to go on to the next question here. Okay, so a question that I'm asking them is, how interested are you in teaching in a remote environment? So this gives a little bit of these memes that are kind of fun. Yes, maybe, no, and I added these in. And as they answer the question, this will build. Right now the results are hidden. I can turn that on or off. So I'm going to, as a student, I'm going to say, I'm going to submit this, but you can't see it on this side because I hid the results. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show the results, and we can talk about it as a class. This student, obviously there was only one, but you'd have a whole class, and we could say, okay, you guys, 75% of you answered this way. Let's talk about why you like it. Or 75% of you said, not a chance. Let's talk about why you feel that way. So this one's kind of fun because I put in some characters that they probably know, and it's a different way to get polling information, but just in a fun way. Again, I can hide or show those results, and I chose to show them, but I can also choose to hide it again if I wanted to. Let's go on to the next question. All right, so this cake that's popping up, this is a little quiz timed competition that I put into Menti. And you can see that I've got a cake. This is just the random character that was given to my student. So on the student side, I'm going to click a button that says Join Quiz. And they're going to get a message that says get ready to play, and I haven't actually made the quiz available on the instructor side yet. Here, I'll show you what it looks like on the student side. Right there, get ready to play the cake. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back, and on the instructor side I'm going to say, all right, let's move them into the quiz area. And this is again timed. It's kind of a competition in a class, just something fun. This is considered a quiz inside of this. So here's my leaderboard. There are no results yet. Okay, and it's asking me to hit enter to start the countdown. So this is going to start the quiz for me. So I'm going to do that now. All right, answer fast to get more points. This is what it says on the student side as well. This is the question. What song is used in a Rickroll? So they're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, the question is on the screen for my student. They've got 4 options. I'll show you what it looks like. This is what the student side looks like. So I'm going to answer it. And it told me, did you get it right or wrong? Loading the result. Wrong answer, it tells me. So on the teacher side, I can see that the right answer was never going to give you up, and my student got it wrong. So again, if I go to the next slide, now I see the leaderboard. Of course, there's only one student and they have 0 points so far. So this would show me all of my students. I only put one question in this quiz, but it would be a great way to study for an upcoming quiz or even do a pretest to see where students are in their knowledge. So you can add, obviously, more than one question to that, more than one quiz. Again, up to 5 quizzes per presentation. So Menti is just a really visual, kind of fun way to ask the students where they are in their content or kick off a topic. I think I have one more slide here to show you that just says, for more information, Mentimeter.com. So this was Mentimeter, just something kind of fun. I encourage you to check it out. Okay, I'm going to very briefly show you another tool called Socrative. And this one is really meant to be just a question and answer kind of tool for quick formative assessment. So I'm inside of Socrative right now, free. I've got a room right here. I've got it called 313 E-Step, and this will never change. My room name will stay the same. You can see on my main area here, I can launch a quiz. Space Race is that kind of competition where students would race against each other to see who can answer questions the fastest. And Exit Ticket is just what it sounds like, questions that students might answer on their way out of your class. And then I can do a quick question of multiple choice, true, false, and short answer. So I'm going to show you, there's also a quiz area where these are all the quizzes that I have built on the instructor side. I can also download reports, just like we saw in Nearpod, of how the students have answered on this. So I'm going to just show you very briefly what these quizzes look like. So I'm going to launch one. I'm going to launch this one here. And you can see on the back end, on the instructor side, kind of what I've got 4 questions in here. I can add images to this. I can add in comments that students would see after they answer a question. I have a question that has a right or wrong answer. A multiple choice, a true, false, a choose all that apply, and an open-ended. So this can be launched, and I will do that in just a second, and students would answer these questions, again, for a quick formative assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and back over here to launch and say I want to launch a quiz. I'm going to choose this one here. I'm going to choose next and show you that I have got a couple of options here. Open navigation, and if you don't remember what these are as you go back and look at it on your own, I can click here and it'll remind me what this session or this setting will look like. I'm going to say teacher paste here just so that I can show you a couple of things along the way and choose to start. Now when I do that, this is what it looks like on the instructor side. I'm going to go to Socrative.com and put in this room number as a student and join. So be right back. Okay, so you can see on the student side what this looks like. Excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and click join. Now on the student side, it's asking me for my name. I'm just going to say student 1. You can have them put in real names, again, code names, cubby numbers, anything like that. Done. Now you can see on the student side, I'm seeing the same question that's on my instructor side, and we are going to go ahead and answer the question on the student side and show you what it looks like on the instructor side. All right, so as the student, I'm going to go ahead and answer this question. I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm going to submit my answer, and on the instructor side, you can see one of one student is answered. And on the student side, you can see it just says you've completed the activity. We're waiting for the next activity. So I can see one answered. So I can show the results. Here, I can see what the right answer was, and 100% of the people chose B. This is a great way for me to, again, see where students are with this. You could share these answers out by showing your screen or not. This doesn't have a share button for to pick up on the student side like it did on Nearpod, but it does have a way if I could show my screen if I were somewhere remote or in the classroom, or not show it. It's up to you. So I can see here, again, I can hide or show the results. No explanation on this one, but one of them does, and I'll show you that. So I'm going to go on to the next question, and on my student side, they see the next question as well. So they're going to go ahead and answer it and choose to submit the answer. I can see here that one student answered it. I'm going to show the results. I can see 100% got it right. I'm going to show the explanation. And I can see that George Clooney, and I can see the explanation of it. The student side doesn't see that explanation. They would have if they had it in the student paste and they could see it on their own, but since I am navigating that, they're not seeing that, so I would have to verbally tell that to them. Okay, next question. This is one that they can choose all that apply for them. So on the student side, I'm going to go ahead and do that and submit. You can see 1 of 1 students. Once again, I can see the results here. So I'm seeing these very quickly, and I can see exactly what students had to say right now. Last question for the students is something that they would type in the answers to. So I'll go ahead and type in an answer here. Okay, and I'm going to submit this on the student side. You can see I have something here, but I'm not showing it. I can choose to show it, and I can choose to show the names or not. Up to you again. All of the names would be associated with this when you pull a report down, so you don't have to show that in the moment. You can always see it later. Okay, I've got a finish button up here because I am done. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish, and I can see the results how everybody did. I can choose to share that out or export it to take a look at it later. So Socrative isn't quite as robust as Nearpod is, or maybe even Mentimeter in terms of the visualization aspect of it, but it's a really great, quick way to do formative assessments that you might do at the beginning of class or throughout the class or even as an exit ticket at the end. So I like this one. It's a solid, easy-to-use tool. Let me show you one other. All right, this one is called Whiteboard.chat, and this one may be best suited for a remote environment versus in the classroom. But I want to show you too because it's pretty robust in the things that will allow you to do while you're in a remote setting. Okay, so from this main page, we have got a start drawing, and again, we're at Whiteboard.chat. Start drawing will give us 3 options here. The first is start teaching, and start teaching allows us to start a board where we are pushing out content to students, and they each have their own individual boards to work on, whiteboards. Start collaborating is a little more like Google Jamboard, if you've ever used that, where students are all working together on 1 or 2 slides at the same time. Manage Board shows you all of your boards that you have created that you might want to share with your students. And this is where students would add in a classroom code to join your boards that you're sharing out with them. So I'm going to actually pause for a second, bring up a board that I created, and then show you a little bit of the interface of it. Okay, so this is my whiteboard that I created to push out to my students. So the first thing I want to show you is that I've got multiple slides here, and if I click through just briefly, I'm going to show you kind of some of the things I can push out to my students. So this first page, I should go back. This first page just asks them, how are you feeling today? Use the drawing or the stickers. There's lots of ways for them to interact with this whiteboard, just as a kind of a kickoff. The next one is a matching activity. Obviously, this is for younger kids where they draw a line between the planets and their names. The next one is a grammatical exercise where they would draw directly on here to correct the mistakes. The next one is a map where I'm asking them to do something on this map and they draw directly on here. The 5th page is math, where they actually roll the dice or spin the wheel and they have to make the math problems or results in the space provided. And the last one's kind of an exit pass where you just ask them what did they learn today and what are they still confused about. So when a student gets on here, they're going to see their own copy of this. So as they draw on it, it's only going to be on their own board. And I'll show you that in just a second. Some of the things that they can interact with is there are drawing tools, text tools, an eraser, and so on. They can move things around a little bit. Over here is where they can see some of those stickers and things that they can add. So if I click here, you can see some of the, we'll go down here too. Some of the things, well, actually they might use this more. So I could search for something like, I want to find a star. Whoops. And it'll show them all of those, and they can add these little stickers to it and things like that. So that's always over there on the right. And they can change, if they go into the text tool, they can change the color of things and the fonts and so on. As an instructor, I invite students into this right here under this invite button. When I do that, it'll show me a code that they could put in that screen that I showed you at the beginning, or a link that I can post anywhere inside of any LMS. I can put it inside of a chat if we're in Zoom, something like that. I can add it to Google Classroom or Teams and so on. So that's the basic gist, the big picture. I want to show you really briefly before I add a student, one of the neat things you can do down here is you can go into grid view. When I do that, I will actually see all the whiteboards of all the students that are inside of this. So these were just test students that I was playing around with, and they're up here. I can see exactly what board they're on, and when I click on them, I can join their board and give feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and add myself as a student so we can actually engage with this a little bit. This is almost like a student looking over the shoulder of a student, or a teacher looking over the shoulder of a student and being able to interact with them in real time. So let me pause, add myself as another student, and show you how I'm engaged with this tool. Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice is I have a new student up here, which was me adding as a student. I want to show you also, if I click on participant panel, you can see all the people that are inside of here, and this is the one I just added myself as tutorial example. So I'm going to go ahead and close that again and show you that now if I go to grid view, I can see a new participant. Here I am at tutorial example, and as a student, that's exactly where I am. I'll show you. See, this is my student, and I'm on the planet slide. If I move forward, and let's say I'm on the correct the mistakes, and I come back here, see how that updated automatically, and I can see that's where I am. So as a student, I'm going to start engaging in the planet one and show you that it's going to update in real time. So I'm going to draw a line here. Let's see if I can see how I'm drawing. And you can see how it's updated. Now let's say I click on this. I can watch me work in real time. So I'm certain I'm not going to get this right, but I'll draw anyway. See how you can actually see me? Now I can join this if I wanted to and actually give them some feedback or put a sticker on their page like good work, or if I see them off track, go and see if I can help them out. I love that about this because it's all updating in real time, and I can be one-on-one if I need to with the students. I can also showcase, which is kind of neat, meaning that this will replace what the students are seeing on their screen with an example that I want to show them. They will not see the student's name though. Okay, so I can see as the students are updating. So I'm going to move to another screen here just to show you. So let's say I can show my knowledge of states. Okay, so I'm going to draw. And you can see that I'm doing that here as well. So again, as I update on the student side, you can see that here. There's a lot of potential with this tool, and it can be done. A lot of things can be done with it that make it a really good real-time tool for instructors. So I'm going to go back to this. This is, again, a free tool. There are different plans, but you can do a lot with the free aspect of these tools. Oh, just one other thing I'll mention on the instructor side. You can download here a copy of this tool, or this page, this board, if you want to share it with people. You can also download the results of how your students have done. When I choose download PDF, I can download my board, the whole class, a single page, PDFs, and so on. So you can actually download the students' work if you wanted to look at it later. Okay, so to wrap this up, these were just a few tools that you could use in a hybrid or remote teaching environment. And again, several of these would work well in a face-to-face environment as well. The things that we have learned and been able to accomplish in this COVID time, or this time of remote learning, really can be transferred moving forward into the classroom to engage students and to meet them where they are. So I encourage you to take a look at these tools, see if any of them might work in your classroom, whether you are remote or in person, or a combination of both. Good luck.